Hi everyone. Welcome to our final online lecture. Well, it's week 14 this week, okay? But of course, next week we have our final exam. Don't worry, okay? Don't worry because the final exam it's not very difficult, okay? And in this video, we're going to learn all about the final exam. You'll learn everything that you need to know so that you can do it. Okay? So don't feel any stress. It's quite easy. All right? So, let's get started. So first, let's talk about the important information that you need to know about the final exam. All right? This is very important, so please remember this, okay? The final exam will be on Zoom, okay? Because our classes are all on Zoom, and so maybe then the format will be a little bit different, okay? So don't worry, I'll tell you more about that. And it's during our class time, okay? It's during our class time. In week 15. So you need to, of course, come to class. Okay? Come to class, and then we will do the final exam on Zoom. Okay? Very important. It's 20% of your grade. Okay? Of your total class grade. Okay? So your midterm exam was also 20%, and then so is your final. Okay, so it's very, very important. You must do your final exam. Okay, it's so important. And this exam will be a speaking exam. All right, don't feel nervous or anything. It's actually going to be very easy, I think. But yes, it's speaking. So you will do your speaking on Zoom. Okay? All right, so there's still some more important information to talk about and some more things to think about. You must remember that this class uses absolute grading. 절대평가. All right, so there is no curve, and it's very important to do all of your assignments when the class uses absolute grading. All right, you should do all of your assignments. It's very important because if you don't, your score will be very low. Okay, so if you need to submit late work or a late project or anything, okay, this week, week 14, this is your final chance. Okay, it's your final opportunity to submit anything that you want a score on. Even if it's a low score, it will help you. So please submit late work. Again, if you need my help, please send me a message. Okay, talk to me. My job is to help you. All right. All right. So now let's talk about the final exam. All right. You already know this. The final exam will be a speaking exam. Okay. And you must prepare a small speech about an experience. Youngham. All right? You're going to share a story. It's almost like a presentation or like a speech. All right? And the speech, it should be 1 to 2 minutes long. All right? So that's not a long time. If it's very short, then your score will be very low. But if it's longer than 2 minutes, that's okay. Okay, but I don't want you to have a 4 or 5 minute story. All right, that's way too long. So try to make it 1 or 2 minutes long. For the final exam, you must use some grammar that we learned in class. All right, our book has a lot of different grammar, and we learned almost all of it. And in your final exam, you should be using what we learned in our class. All right, so if you want, you can study the grammar in the book. You can really rewatch the review video. Okay, that's very important as well. All right, your story, your experience, it should have a beginning, middle, and end. Okay, it's very important that you have a full story in your speech. All right, and of course, you should practice your speech before you do it in class. It's very important. You must be prepared. Okay? If you write your speech or type it, if you need to read it, that's okay. All right? But you should practice it many times, I think, before the final class. Okay? Please prepare. So now let's take a look at this. This is called a rubric. Okay, you can see right here, rubric. And a rubric it's what teachers, what I use to score your exam or your project or anything. All right? And this is the rubric that I will use for the final exam. So let's look at it. Okay? All right, first let's look at the categories. Okay? Right here, category. You can see. There's 5 categories. Okay? We have grammar, story, speaking, preparedness, and time. All right? And here's a very important part that you need to remember right here. Each category is important, but the speaking and preparedness categories are very important. All right? So these 2 categories, here and here. All right? Let's read these together. Here, let me erase some of this stuff. All right, let's read these together because I think it's important that you know which category is. All right, so these are the descriptions for the categories. In the grammar part, okay, the description is the student used grammar that we learned in class. Okay, pretty easy. The story here. The student talked about an experience. The story had a clear beginning, middle, and end. Okay? Speaking, very important. The student spoke clearly and used natural sounding intonation, right? Your voice. All right? And we'll talk more about this. Preparedness. The story had obviously been well prepared and practiced before the test day. And then time is very easy. The story is 1 to 2 minutes long. Easy, simple. All right, here's some tips for you. You really need to pay attention to this, okay? Here's some tips. 1, to get a good score on the speaking category, you should practice the vocabulary pronunciation. Okay, bottom. And how can you do this? Well, use Papago to listen to the English word and practice it. Okay? On Papago, you can listen to the word and then you can practice and practice and practice. All right, so there's one tip. Tip number 2, don't speak too slow, okay, too slowly, or too quickly. That's not a good idea, all right? You want to have natural voice. A natural voice is very important, okay? And number 3, practice, practice, practice. All right, don't just read your story from a paper, okay? Don't just read it. You must prepare. Prepare your speaking, prepare your pronunciation, especially if there's some difficult words in your story. All right, so now that we're past all of that important information, now let's talk about your story and your experience. Okay, so let's start to think about it a little bit. What kind of experience? Well, there's many different kinds of experiences, okay? And so let's just talk about some good topics, some good examples here, okay? You can do a fun experience, right, with your friends or with your family. A scary experience. A stressful experience, okay? Already, these are very different. A romantic experience. A touching experience. A happy experience. And an exciting experience. So, there's a lot of different experiences that you can do, okay? For example, okay, if you want to talk about a scary experience, that's okay. But sometimes you don't have that, right? So you can think about another experience that is maybe very important to you, a very important experience, okay? So these are just some topics. It's your choice, okay? You can choose whatever you want. All right, and now let's go through exactly the grammar that you should use. Okay? We learned a lot of different grammar in this class. Okay? So you can use any of it almost. But some grammar is better to use. Okay? So you can use the present simple tense, okay, which is like this. I think about my experience often. Okay, you can see the verb here, I think. It's present simple. You can use present or past continuous tense. Okay, for example, present continuous, I am running. Past continuous, I was running. Okay, this is very good for talking about experiences. You can talk about past simple tense, or you can use past simple tense. Okay, past simple tense is always good for talking about stories or telling a story. Okay, so for example, I ate a squid that was alive. All right, that's past simple, telling a story. It's very good for telling a story. Okay, we learned about adverbs of manner. Okay, and I think you know what an adverb is here. It's right here. It says, my friend sadly got lost in Busan. Okay, sadly is the adverb here. So if you can use some adverbs, that's very good. Okay, and you can use present perfect tense. Okay, we just learned about this And this is also very good for talking about experiences. For example, I have been to Busan. All right. All right. And now we can address this question. Okay. How can I make a story? Well, you need to have a beginning, middle, and then end. Okay? Every story has these three things. So it's very, very important. Okay? Let's make a story together to show you how to do it. All right? And this will be an example. Okay? It's just an example. But it will show you how to make the story correctly. All right. All right. So let's talk about the beginning of your story. So there are some things that you want to do. Okay. One of them is you can talk about your life right now. Okay. You can talk about how you feel or your personality or any circumstance in your life. Okay, that's a good thing to talk about. You can talk about the place and the time of the experience that you chose to talk about. And you can give a preview of the story. Okay? All of these things, they're very, very good and very, very helpful to put in the beginning of your story. So let's look at an example of a beginning part of a story. Let's read it together, okay? So, these days I am not a shy person. However, I was very shy when I was younger. All right, so you can see here, these days I am not a shy person. Now we're talking about our life right now. Okay, so it's very good. Very good thing to talk about. Okay, this is because of a past experience I had with my friends. All right. In this part, okay, we're talking about the time of the experience. It's in the past. Okay, you're talking about it's with your friends. Okay, so that kind of says the place a bit, right? With my friends. All right, and then here, let me share my story about playing in a rock band with you. All right, and then this part here, this is the preview. Okay, this is the preview of the rest of the story. Okay, preview is meaty bogey. All right, so these three things are very important to make a beginning part of your story. Of course, if you want to do it in a different way or have some different information, that's okay. This is just an example to help you. All right, now let's move on to the middle part of our story. First, let me say the middle part it will be longer than the beginning or the end. Okay, the beginning is probably short. It is not a very long part of the story, but the middle part is long. Okay, this is the part you will do most of your talking and speaking in the middle of your speech or story. All right, so let's see what should you do, okay? Well, in the middle you need to talk about what happened in this experience, okay? And you need to make sure to talk about all of the important things, the important details and facts. Okay? So in this middle part, you need to tell, again, kind of like the beginning, middle, and end of your experience. So let's see. For example, okay, I have played guitar for many years. I really love playing music, so I joined a band. There was a problem. I was very shy and afraid to play music in front of many people. During our band's first performance, I was scared to go on stage. My father gave me some very encouraging advice. So I played my guitar on stage, even though I felt afraid. In the end, I conquered my fear, and I wasn't afraid anymore. All right, so that's my story, okay? Now, let's look at where the beginning, middle, and end of the story is, okay? Let's see. Obviously, I would say right here, this part here, this is the beginning of the story, right? And then we have the middle part of the story, which is about all of these things here. And then in the end, I even say it right here, in the end. This is the end part of the story. So you can see 3 parts of my experience, beginning, middle, end, okay? Very important, okay? Also important is to talk about some important details, okay? Important detail, some of my important details, right? I really love playing music, okay? It was the band's first performance, all right? Maybe if I want to talk about more detail, I can tell what advice did my father give me, right? So don't forget, there are many details that you can talk about in your story, okay? All right, and now let's talk about the ending. How can you make the ending of this story? Well, you need to signal that you are ending the story. I will tell you how to do that, okay? You should quickly summarize your story, very short summarize. And you need to talk about how the experience is important to you. All right? These 3 things. So, for example, I hope you enjoyed my story. Many people have similar experiences, but sometimes they can't conquer their fear. Without this experience, maybe I would still be a shy person today. Thank you. All right. So let's talk about this. This part here, okay, this is my signal. All right. I'm telling you that my story is finished. This is my signal. All right. And then I'm even right here. Okay. I'm talking about what I learned from this story. Why is this an important part of my life, an important experience? All right. So also you can do the same when you make the end of your story. All right, everyone. Good luck. Okay. If you need help, please send me a message on eClass. Okay. I'm here to help you. Okay, so please send me a message if you don't know how to do something or if you just want me to help you. Okay. Yes, you do have some homework this week. Okay, your homework is to write your story. and then submit it to eClass. Okay? You can submit a file, or you can take a picture of your paper if you wrote your story with pen and paper. All right? All right, everyone. Good luck, and I will see you in class. All right? Stay safe. See you soon.